Hi guys. So, I know this is probably a shock to a lot of you. I wanted to make this video to talk to you guys about why that it's been a long time coming, the reality of my YouTube career that I've never talked about, and share what my hope is for how you and I can continue a relationship outside of YouTube. Because this is my last video, I wanted to do something special, so I went through my camera roll and screenshotted a whole bunch of pictures that I just took for memories or sent to family group chats. I love watching it. I've watched it over and over and over and over, and it shows the chronological progression of things, you'll see, but that's how I wanted to end my last video. I kind of want to rewind a little bit and start from the beginning. Growing up, I was presented with two conflicting messages. Either life was about success and money and career, or those things don't really matter when you really take a step back, and life is actually about relationship. The stronger of the two messages was that if I don't make a very large amount of money, I'm never going to be happy. So as a preteen and early teen, I ended up pushing back against that idea. I always think of the Scrooge movies. I saw so much truth in movies like It's a Wonderful Life, and I felt my heart being pulled in that direction, not being so driven by money. I loved music that had that message too. I remember listening to Satisfied Mind by Johnny Cash and Thank God I'm a Country Boy by John Denver on the train going to school, high school. But the reality of having to make money and support myself kind of hit me when I was in high school, when I started paying for certain things. Obviously not everything, I was still under my parents' roof. I started to see why it was stressed to me just how important money is. In high school, I kind of concluded that I didn't want to live for school. I didn't want a big career, but I also wanted to be able to afford a lifestyle that I was comfortable with. I was like, okay, I think a physician assistant would be the best option for me because it's only 2 years of school after your undergrad and you make a good living. So my first year of college, I started working as a nurse aide because I needed that to get into physician assistant school or a physician assistant program. I remember looking at my first check. To me, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm lifting grown men by myself who can't get out of bed. I'm showering them. It's a intense kind of job, and I was like, I'm only getting paid $12 an hour and then taxes, and I was watching a lot of YouTube at the time, and eventually as I kept watching YouTube, I was like, I think that I can do this. I was like, why would I keep doing this job, continue to go to school until I'm 24, not start making real money until I'm 25, when I can literally just film my life and make more money doing that than I would be making as a doctor, let alone a physician assistant. And so all of that messaging that money was the key to happiness kicked in. And I was in that mode. I thought growing on YouTube and making a career out of just living my life would solve all of my problems. Immediately after I started posting, I started noticing how being a public figure, even in front of a very small audience, was negatively affecting me, but I had no plan on stopping, so I thought it would be weird to say publicly on YouTube, oh, this job's really hard, I think it's negatively affecting my mental health, oh, but I'm gonna keep posting. So I was kind of just life's hard, Alana, suck it up. You don't want to be a nurse aide, right? You have to do something. The first year was me just basically trying out a whole bunch of different videos. I tried so many different things. It took me 1 year of working 7 days a week to make my first $100. Everyone in my life told me that I should stop because it wasn't working. So I started studying other channels that were really popular at the time, and they just so happened to be scandalous story times and having a sexier style, a bold flashy lifestyle. And so instead of just being myself, I felt like I had to be like those creators, the successful ones, or even top what they were doing. I felt like I was kind of competing with them. Being a public figure and allowing people to see the intimate details of my life, what felt like competing with other creators and Instagram girls and trying to get more and more and more views changed me, and not in a good way. Going about my channel and growing in that way is on me. Nobody was telling me to do this for a video or make sure that you post this type of content. I was doing that to me. So years into YouTube, I finally had a good amount of subscribers and like a steady average view count and brand deals coming in consistently. That was like such an amazing accomplishment. That's what I felt at the time. Like, oh my gosh, I actually did it. I figured it out, right? The whole thing was built on the type of content that I was posting. But I wasn't liking what I was posting. I was just liking that I had some level of success. And I knew that stopping YouTube or drastically changing my content would have made me happy, but that wasn't an option. I wasn't willing to give up the money. In my mind, in order to be happy, I would just have to start liking the content that I was filming and posting. For years, I tried really hard to get excited about things that I knew I had to film to get views. I switched to music that promoted the message that money was power, money means you made it, encouraged flaunting money, music that made a big deal out of being sexy and using your body, that like that's what made you exceptional. And I consumed media that pushed those messages too. Everything around me was feeding me that narrative. And I think in some ways it worked. I did start changing and liking certain things that weren't really authentic, but at the time I was like, yeah, I'm part of this whole world. YouTube hardened my heart, and that's on me. Doing what I was doing all of those years, at that time it made me more selfish, more greedy, more hateful. It encouraged me to show off. It encouraged me to sexualize myself. I felt like I was in a rat race to get higher and higher, get more views, more views, more views. I did enjoy talking about mental health on YouTube because that felt the most genuine. And I do remember that deeper side, that more genuine side coming out, but it was rare. I remember I did the Kylie Jenner hip injections video. I realized at that point in my life, I was still living at my parents' house, and I said in that video, there's no amount of money, there's no promise to look perfect, no amount of procedures, no material possession that will ever fulfill you. And I was saying in that video that basically the purpose of life is relationship. I didn't have a relationship with God yet at that point, but I had a hole in my heart, and I was trying to fill it with a million different things, and nothing of this world was working. None of the stuff I was talking about or showing online I felt was like truly important and the purpose of life and what we should all be thinking about and focusing on. But at the time, my feeling was like, this is my business, this is my job. I have to keep posting content similar to the content that all of these people subscribed to see. Basically, I put my mental health on the back burner because I was prioritizing money. Like I said, that's the mode that I was in. Obviously, like, this isn't healthy, and I started going to therapy in 2020, and she immediately recognized that the grip money had on me was the root of all of the issues. She had me make a pros and cons list of leaving YouTube and social media. I don't know if I wrote this on June 30th. I think I wrote it before I took the picture of it and sent it to a friend, but it was 2021. I blurred out some of like the personal sensitive information on Facetune just because I didn't want to share all of that publicly. But for the pros, I wrote, I won't have to plan days, weeks, activities, showers, vacations, or anything around a timeline of what makes sense to post next. I can dress how I want. I don't have to pretend to care about style or makeup or pimples or nails. I don't have to worry about how I look. I will dress how I want. I don't even think I realized that I wrote that twice. The con, of course, was not bringing in as much money every month, feeling shame because of blank's opinion. Family, my friends won't look up to me for being a YouTuber. I said I don't know what I'll do without it. And then I also, for some reason, thought the market was going to crash in early 2022, and I thought, like, I need to have money. So basically, just all money concerns. It wasn't like, oh, I really love my job. So then the back is also all pros. I can eat what I want. There was like such a trend of, I tried Kylie Jenner's diet or a Victoria's Secret model diet. I tried like an intermittent fasting video and it did so well. I can act how I want. A lot of times I would like really try to analyze, why did this video do well over this video? Well, maybe I was more sarcastic in this video. Maybe I was more goofy. Recreate that in the next video. And that's really exhausting. I can be free with my friends. For a long time, I felt like every single activity I did, I had to film. Every time I was at a restaurant, every trip, every time I was with a friend, every conversation, everything I wore, everything I ate could have been turned into a video. When your life is your job, everything you do can be a way for you to make money. Be present with my family, with my friends. No more face tuning. I can be who I want to be, not trying to be the person they subscribed to see. No overthinking about when to post and putting that above all else. Real connection comes back. The power money had over me caused me to structure my life in a way that was like a breeding ground for depression. There were an infinite amount of decisions I made based on that mentality about money. So it was hard to see that they all flowed out of that. It was like, no, it can't just be one thing. It's like there's a web of things that are making me unhappy. I have to fix each individual thing. It's like, no, I only had to fix that one core thing, and so many things would change in my life. Like, I wish I had known that. My therapist knew that. Because of that one mentality I subscribed to, I made endless choices that were the wrong ones. Once I stopped believing the lie that I will only be happy if I push myself that much, once money lost its power over me, my depression was gone. It didn't happen overnight, obviously. So basically, therapy encouraged me to believe that the purpose of my life is my happiness, but led me to think that I must be pursuing the wrong things because I'm not happy. So after many, many months of therapy, I finally was like, okay, you're gonna post as frequently as you feel okay posting. I knew what was gonna happen if I did that. I was like, I don't care. My mental health is more important. I knew, like, I told myself, Alana, be prepared to make a third of the money that you're making because YouTube loves consistency. So if you start posting sporadically, your views are gonna go down. And so I did start posting a lot more infrequently. My views did start to go down, but I was so much happier. And after a short time, money had lost its grip on me. So my heart started to soften a little bit. I posted less and less and less. And the last time that I had a symptom of depression was December 31st, 2021. 6 months went by, and then a year went by, and I posted YouTube videos about it. Like, did therapy actually work? How I'm depression free. It's a year now. It's like, now it's been over 2 years. So by summer of 2022, I felt on top of the world. I had been depression free for about 6 months. During that summer, I was posting even more infrequently. I kept a lot to myself. And I actually started liking YouTube for the first time because it wasn't a burden anymore. I wasn't forcing anything. I no longer did things just to make a good video. I finally felt like my life was for me, not for the camera. I started listening to the old music that I used to listen to again, which I'm still enjoying. I started reading. I started learning an instrument. I had so much more time to just like enjoy life. It was such a great feeling. I can't even explain it to you, to just be normal and not be like sharing my life online. The less I felt like a public figure, the better life was, the happier I was. So at the time, this affirmed that acting on the idea that the purpose of life for me is my own happiness worked. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna lean into that even more. I remember at the end of 2022 thinking this year is the happiest I'd ever been. But instead of being ruled by things that made me unhappy, I was living completely selfishly. I didn't think too much of it at the time, but now looking back at 2022, although I felt happy like moment by moment, I didn't have guidance. I didn't have security in knowing my future, in knowing what life after death was going to look like. And I didn't have anyone in my life who I looked at and thought like they have the answer. There were people in my life, myself included, who turned to tarot and fortune tellers and crystals because there was an underlying uncertainty there. We looked at astrology books, we knew each other's birthday, and we're like, oh, do you think that we're on the best friend list? Like, are we really that good of friends? Or the birthday of our future husband, just to feel like we had some semblance of control and power in our lives, in our futures. We were trying to find like the thing that would give us real peace and comfort. But none of those things actually seemed to work. Some of us were religious. I wasn't one of them. But growing up in Catholic school, I remembered that I was taught that we should turn to God alone to comfort us and to direct us. So having people in my life who said they believed in Jesus, but also trusted in crystals, tarot, fortune tellers, it was kind of confusing, or at least it made me kind of feel that religion wasn't working any more than any of the other things. So during that year, 2022, I actually wrote a journal entry that I read to you guys in a video. And in that journal entry, I basically asked the question, is being happy all that there is to life? I had spent at that point about a year living for self successfully, actually achieving happiness, which like everyone seems to think is the goal, the finish line. After actually like being happy for that amount of time, I was kind of just like, okay, I'm 26 today. But in 2022, I was like, okay, I'm 24 years old. I've like cracked the code. I have everything that I want. I'm happy. Is this really it? I knew at that point that living to serve myself cannot be the end all be all. The past little over a year of my life has been more special, more beautiful, more meaningful, more fulfilling than I ever imagined life could be. Shortly after that journal entry, the Lord used someone to show me what happens when you love God above all things. Living to have a relationship with God and to serve God and to serve other people. God alone was their peace, their guide, their comfort. All of that resulted in me seeing a secure and happy person. But their happiness went so much deeper than the happiness I had ever seen anybody else possess. And they just had a peace about them. They were so confident in the future. I just remember thinking, I want to know why a relationship with God, not a religion, but a relationship, I had never heard anyone talk about it like that, makes this difference in somebody. So after that encounter, I got really curious. I saw something I knew was real that day that I had never experienced before, but I wasn't ready to accept Jesus as the answer. There were parts of the Bible that didn't make sense to me, that I never fully grasped or learned about and doubted. So I found answers to all of my questions, and in time, my mind was satisfied in an intellectual way, but then my heart was satisfied in a way that it's hard for me to even explain. A little over a year ago now, I was holding my head in my hands and crying in my bathroom in my house. In that moment, I accepted Christ. My relationship with him started on that day. I was instantly safe. And I knew in that moment that I was forgiven for all of my failures throughout my life, the moment that I put my faith in him. I knew that when I die, I will stand before God confidently because my faith in Christ allows the Father to see me as holy and blameless. And I was so mind blown by that because I'm not blameless. I've made so many mistakes in my life. I've done so many things that I'm not proud of. I was just so overwhelmed that there was a way that I could be seen as blameless by God. And I just knew in that moment it was nothing that I did. I didn't earn that. It was something that Jesus offered me And all I had to do was believe in him, and I would be able to have what he was offering. And I just had this overwhelming feeling and knowing that from that point on, I would be able to live my life out on earth with unshakable peace and happiness, true, deep joy, because I know that my eternity, my future is secure. And like I said, I knew that I had and have no way of doing that on my own. I cannot take credit for that. All of the credit goes to him. And I broke down into extreme gratefulness with that understanding. Jesus Christ suffered and died for me. I saw it all in that moment, that he's been guiding me and protecting me and preparing my heart for him my entire life. This whole journey. And like, as much as I can try to explain it to you, there's an infinite amount of information and details that I don't have time to physically repeat. But I will never forget that day. He, from that moment on, just turned my world right side up. And in some ways, I became a different person. From that moment on, I've wanted nothing more than to really get to know him and love him and live my life for him. It's the least I can do. There's a verse that says, delight yourself in the Lord and he will give you the desires of your heart. I started delighting in the Lord. I started reading the Bible. I started reading books. I started going to conferences, just trying to learn about God, getting to know him, having a relationship with him. It's really hard to have a relationship with someone if you don't know anything about them, if you don't communicate with them, if you don't get to know their character. What would they do in this situation? What do they believe about this? Like, I wanted to get to know God, just diving into his word. So I started reading the Bible, and then I started listening to it, and I started trusting God alone. Did I have to go and undo things that I've done in order to have a relationship with God? No. Is it even possible to go and undo every wrong decision I've made, every time I've hurt somebody, every time I've hurt myself? No, that's not possible. And that's not what God asks of me or of anyone. The only thing that can do that is belief in Christ. Would I have plastic surgery now if I hadn't before? No. How I look is just such a small part of my week now, my life. I just don't have that desire. Did I want to continue posting content like I used to post after I came to Christ? No, I think that's obvious. I think it'd be really hard to like genuinely believe in the validity of the Bible and that it is the word of God and like delight in that and be so like overwhelmed with gratitude for what Christ has done, and then also not see changes in that person. Watching the shows or movies I used to watch, listening to the music that I listened to for a while, dressing the way that you saw me dress. I don't know how else to explain it besides just saying that they don't appeal to me anymore. I feel free. I feel like there's so many burdens that are gone. I feel like I can just be me without adding anything. That's what Christ has done for me on this earth. And he's given me the only way to get to the Father. What could I be more grateful for and excited about than that? In some ways, like I said, I am a different person. And I know it's cheesy to say, but I also feel like in a lot of ways, I have returned to the person that I was before the world told me who to be. But it goes so much farther than that. Without God, 2022 was, in my opinion, the best it was going to get for me. I was happy. I had everything that I could want. But it was an empty, selfish happiness. I was, bringing all of these things and people into my life that I knew would satisfy me in that moment. And deep down, I was questioning my purpose, and I didn't know what was going to happen after I die. What I've gathered from reading the Bible is that the purpose of life is relationship. God created man to have relationship with him, and then he created more people to have relationship with him and each other. And then we broke that beautiful relationship between man and God, and God sent his son, God in the flesh, to restore relationship. between man and God. You know, at one point Jesus is asked, what is the greatest commandment? And he says, love God above all things. This is the first and greatest commandment, and love your neighbor as yourself. It is all about relationship, and it's all about putting God first. If you were Satan and you knew that this is what God intended for us, what would you do? Try and spread the lie that our purpose is to love ourselves above all things. Live for your own pleasure. That's all it's about. And the lie of all lies is that loving ourselves is actually acquiring things, money, status, looks, career. Satan's goal is to distract and deceive. Keep them focused on things, keep them focused on themselves, keep them far away from relationship with God. Take what is good and make them think it's bad, and take everything that's bad and make it look good. So, why you're here? Why am I leaving YouTube? It's interesting to see the progression. When I started YouTube, money ruled me. Then, years later, I put my happiness first, posted very infrequently. Money was no longer ruling me, but it became a healthy motivation for me continuing the job. Then I started having a relationship with God, and money stopped being the motivation. People were my motivation. Despite knowing that being open about my faith publicly could and probably would result in people unsubscribing and tons of lost money, I felt that sharing him with you was way more important than what I could lose. So I started posting, and I never could have imagined how many of you guys have a relationship with God, and I was genuinely shocked that the sponsors didn't slow down. I was convinced that I was going to lose a lot of opportunities. But the Lord allowed me to keep YouTube as a job while also not having money be my motivation. And it was working out. And so I met Tim, and when we first met, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like so obvious that we're supposed to be doing this together. Like, he's a videography. He can help me film. He's so creative. But I still had the same negative feelings about being a public figure.
Hi. I've been editing this video for a while, been thinking about everything for a while, and it just really comes down to the fact that something that's really important to me is being present. Such a theme, I think, for my career. And the moments where I posted less and was able to be more present, that's the best I felt. As long as I'm a public figure and my job is to post on YouTube, I can say, oh, I'm being present, I'm not going to film this, but it's always in my head like, but you're a public figure though, and it's your responsibility to share this with people. It's also really difficult to think what I should include in certain videos that will help the most amount of people when I don't know where 30,000 people are at with God. I don't know what questions you have. I think it's honestly not the best for my audience. I think that if you have an opportunity to do what I'm about to share, I'm going to be better for it and you're going to be better for it. Yeah.
Months ago at this point, I realized that there is a way for me to accomplish everything without sacrificing anything. I'm so glad that you have gotten an opportunity to see how God has changed my life. But I've known for a while now that I was going to make this video and that my YouTube journey has come to an end. I started praying about it months ago at this point, every single day, sometimes multiple times a day, asking God to just make my path clear. Like, is this the right decision or not? I finally woke up one morning with like unbelievable clarity and peace, and it hasn't left me since. It's interesting because the way I was thinking about leaving YouTube before I had this clarity was to make a video saying like, I'm done with YouTube, like I just did, tell you the whole story, and then just stop posting. When I woke up with clarity, I heard like such an obvious answer that there are so many women who don't have a relationship with God and have genuine questions and fears about that, but are seeking. And so many of you who do have a relationship with God and have genuine questions and fears. It became so clear to me that morning that the Lord wants me to have a personal relationship with those women, with you guys, individual people. Not as a teacher or an expert, because I'm still learning too, but as a friend. So I kept praying and I said, okay, Lord, keep giving me peace about it. Keep showing me that this is the answer. So shortly after that, I got an email from this girl who I went to Catholic high school with. And she said that she'd been watching me for years. And she asked me like 2 to 3 questions about God. And she explained her fears to me. And writing back to her, one person, giving her my full undivided attention and being able to really know her needs personally, that filled my heart. I had more joy writing to that one person and connecting with that individual than I've had making a video that's going to reach thousands of people that I can't put a face to, and that it isn't possible to have a deep connection with. And so he just kept on showing me in so many ways that this is the path he wants me to be on. This is the next phase of life. Not thinking about money or talking to the masses, just focusing on relationship every day with God, with my husband, with my family, with my friends, with my neighbors, and now with you. And that's such a blessing that I even have that opportunity, obviously. Over these past few months, I've already seen a glimpse of all of the beautiful things that are gonna come from me diving into this next chapter of life. I'm so grateful that I have God guiding me. So I created a new email. There's obviously no money involved. I want to hear from you. And obviously I don't know how many people will send an email, but based on how many emails I get, I will figure out if the best way to connect with you is to simply write you back like I did with this girl, do a group Zoom, maybe meet up as a group, do an online Bible study. I'm up for a lot of different, ideas. All I know right now is that you all matter, including those of you who aren't ready to ask questions about God. I want to be here for you guys without getting paid to be. So the next part of this video is really special to me. Having these photos, seeing the time pass by, seeing the change. I want to leave you with what is about to play. But before I go, I want to say that you have changed the trajectory of my life. I don't know what my life would have been if I hadn't posted and if you hadn't watched. And I wish I could have done things a lot differently from the start instead of making changes 2 years ago. But none of that changes the fact that you guys have been here and you've cared. I'm so thankful for those of you who have really been here. I just want to say thank you. I'm gonna leave this channel up so that people can always see the change that Christ has made in my life. And who knows, maybe in the future I'll use this channel to simply post the responses that I send, to people who email me. But thank you guys once again for everything, for being with me on this journey. And send me an email. I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.
Here's my heart, Lord. Here's my heart, Lord. Here's my heart, Lord. Speak what is true. Here's my heart, Lord. Here's my heart, Lord. Here's my heart, Lord. Speak what is true. I am found, I am yours, I am loved, I'm made pure, I have life, I can breathe, I am healed, I am free. Here's my heart, Lord. Here's my heart, Lord.
Home. Let's come in.
This is your home now.